Sweet home Alabama. Where the sky's doing something? I don't really know that line, that lyric. Hello, and welcome to the next exciting episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, the podcast where Matt and Todd watch a Netflix movie from their top 10 list, and then we discuss it, and then we put it online, and maybe you listen to it, maybe you don't. Hopefully you do, and you like it. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say if you're hearing this, that you are listening to it. You do listen
True.
to it. So, thanks for that.
Or it could be your first time.
It could
If it's
be.
your first time, welcome.
Yeah. Welcome to our podcast. It's a blast. So, today we're going to be reviewing a movie called Homefront, which I assume is the inspiration for your Sweet Home Alabama intro.
Yes. Both that it has home in it and Sweet Home Alabama always seems like not looking to insult anyone here, but kind of like a backwaters podunk song for that kind of area of the country. And this movie kind of takes place in an area like that.
That's true.
It might as well be the anthem for those areas.
Yeah. Well, I think it takes place in Louisiana, so you could have sung Sweet Home Louisiana.
Well, then I would just be making up songs, and I don't know if I'm prepared for that yet.
Well, maybe one day. So, yes, so Homefront it's an older film from 2013, 7 years old, 8 years old. And it's got a few notable characters in it. The lead is Jason Statham, who plays Phil Broker. And then you've got James Franco, who plays Gator Bodine.
Yeah, Bodine. What a great name.
And Kate Bosworth is in this.
Yes.
And Winona Ryder is in this.
Yes.
And that's where my list stops.
Well, there is Frank Grillo is in this movie.
Okay.
He has been in a whole bunch of stuff. He's more notably like a MMA guy, but I don't think he actually fights MMA, but he's like one of those guys. But he was in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. He's the guy who kind of gets turned into Crossbones. Like the building fell on him in the end of Captain America, and then the next movie he's Crossbones. I don't know if that rings a bell with anyone.
Captain America: Civil War.
Yes.
What's the next one?
There's another guy, Omar Benson Miller, who played Statham's friend. He's been in a couple of things, but he's not that. I only recognize him from the first Transformers movie. And then...
And that guy looks like another guy.
Anthony Anderson, yes.
Another famous guy.
And he was in Transformers too.
Ah.
But... and then Clancy Brown, who's been in a whole bunch of stuff over the years, but I guess at this point his most notable thing is that he's Mr. Crab on SpongeBob.
Wow.
So, yeah. It's kind of weird to be in the business for so long and do so many different things. Like he was the guard in Shawshank Redemption, the bad guard, the head of the guards or whatever. But then probably you'll be most known for Mr. Crab on SpongeBob SquarePants.
Right.
And then that's it for me.
Okay. Well, one person that neither of us mentioned yet is, did you see who wrote the screenplay for this movie?
Oh, I did, and I laughed audibly while I was watching it.
Good old Sly Stallone.
Yeah. I guess he was sitting around and was like, you know what? I got a great idea for this kind of movie I want. Although it says, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, it said screenplay by Sylvester Stallone.
Well, because
what's the difference between a writer, a screenplay, all that kind of stuff?
It's based on a novel.
Oh.
And so Sylvester Stallone took the novel and wrote a screenplay.
Gotcha.
So
I bet
it's
he read the book and was like, "Oh, this is so good.
yeah,
I gotta write a movie about this, not a book. I gotta."
yeah.
That's my Sly Stallone
That's
impression.
that's just how he sounds, Todd. Great
Yeah,
job.
yeah. Well, thank you, Matt. I really appreciate it, yo.
Yes. So that's who's in it, and what is this movie about? Well, this is uh, so the movie opens. Jason Statham's character, Phil Broker, is undercover as like a drug enforcement agent, I think, but he's with the biker gang, and the biker gang is running like this. I guess it's a meth ring or something. Anyway,
Yeah,
they're producing their own meth, and anyway, they get taken down, and things go bad, and they figure out that he's a cop or whatever or an agent. Anyway, so the main guy, the leader, gets taken and put in jail, and he also witnesses his son dying right in front of him, and he blames Jason Statham's character. So that's the setup, and then you fast forward to he doesn't do that work anymore, and he's living in Podunk, Louisiana, with his daughter, and recently his wife has died, and so they're kind of new in town, and his daughter gets in a fight with this bully on the playground at elementary school, and she beats him up because she's like Jason Statham's daughter, so she's good. Not really Jason Statham's daughter, Phil Broker's daughter, but
yeah.
he's very physically fit and able to defend himself, and he trained her to be that way also. Anyway, so that gets some bad blood, and with the family of the bullied kid or the bully kid, and then um, the the brother of the mom of the bully is James Franco's character, Gator Bodine, and she
Gator Bodine.
and she so she gets him involved to try and like get back at Phil Broker and his daughter by kind of messing with them a little bit, and then things just escalate from there. It turns out that um, uh, Gator Bodine is also a meth lab runner himself in this little town. Um, so eventually things escalate, and word gets back to the leader of the first meth gang that that Phil Broker is here in this small town, and uh, it's a chance for revenge. So then the real bad guys from the old motorcycle gang come into town, and there's a showdown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the link between the gang and Gator Bodine is Winona Ryder's character, Cheryl Marie Mott.
Yeah, I was surprised that they didn't just name her character crack whore or meth whore, because she gets called a meth whore a lot in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we all have our nicknames, Todd.
That's true. I'll have to ask Sly about it next time I see him.
You should.
Mm.
So, but that's basically the movie. It's your standard kind of build up to climax action film where one man stands his ground against an assault, and since he has a daughter, the daughter gets abducted. I feel like that's been a theme. Sheriffs and daughters gone missing has been a theme of our last two movies.
True.
But that's the general plot. So, I know it wasn't your first time viewing, Todd, but what did you think of this 2013 Homefront movie?
So I have to say this movie is a perfectly serviceable action movie. Like I don't really know if there's anything special about it, but um, it's it's very paint by numbers for an action movie. Like stuff we've seen before, stuff that we probably will see again. It certainly doesn't mean that it's bad. I don't know if I think that, but it's just like, been here, done this, a million times before this specific movie. That being said, I mean, I enjoy Jason Statham as an action star, and I will see most movies he's in. And it's got some pretty good action scenes. It's got a pretty okay story. Um, Really, honestly, the most entertaining thing to me is um, like James Franco, Kate Bosworth, their characters that they play, like these like kind of podunk meth people. Like I thought, especially Kate Bosworth, I thought she did a really good job in this role. Like something, her role is so small, but it's so memorable to me, with how, I mean, it looked like she lost weight for this role. I hope she's not actually a meth person, but like she pretty much looked like the stereotypical meth person. Um, and I thought she did really. And then James Franco is just kind of entertaining in this movie. It's not like he's really good. It's just entertaining. Like as good old Gator Bodine. So, um, yeah, if you're down for an action movie, or if action movies are your category, then this is a fine action movie to watch. Like, it didn't break the mold. I don't really think there's anything really special about it, but still fine, still good to watch. If you got an hour and 40 minutes, why not watch it? It's on Netflix, I hear. So, I will say that there's one scene in this movie that I don't really appreciate it the first time I watched it, but the second time, as an action movie person, I appreciate it. At one point, Jason Statham gets knocked out by some guy hitting him in the head with like a rebarb bar or whatever, the things you stick in the cement or whatever. Rebarb? Is that what it's called? Rebar. And so when he wakes up from it, the guy who hits him is just like holding it, and he's explaining how you need to hit the person just in the right area of the head so you don't kill them, just knock them out. And I appreciated that so much, because every time someone gets hit with, like in an action movie, a big heavy piece of metal, I'm always like, how'd you not die from that? Like that's like seems like instant death to me, with a big old heavy piece of metal like that. So I appreciated. I guess I got to give credit to old Sly, that I appreciated that scene where it just seemed like they went out of their way to explain why he's not dead from being hit in the head with this bar.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna leave it. It's a fine action movie. If action's your thing, go see it. If you got a man crush on Jason Statham, then go see it, and let us know what you think about it. Matt, how did you feel about this movie first time viewing?
Well, it was my first time viewing. I think I overall enjoyed the movie. I thought like you say, it was a fine action movie. There are some nice moments also, as between Jason Statham and his daughter Maddie.
Sure.
And then yeah, there's some. I agree with you about Kate Bosworth's portrayal of Cassie Clum.
Yeah.
Clum.
Clum.
Clum. Miss Clum. She was definitely kind of underrated, and I think she kind of stole some of the scenes she was in.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
And same with James Franco. Although I felt like at times he was just kind of being himself and being like kind of not acting as much as like just coming out of character to be funny, or to be, I don't know, something.
Right. No, I agree with that. It kind of felt like to me that Kate Bosworth was the only one truly trying to act in this movie. Everyone else just felt like it was there and they were going through the motions. But
Yeah.
for her specifically, it just felt like she was kind of turning in a tour de force performance here.
Yep. So, um, so I would say this a scene that stood out to me was there's a part of the movie where Jason Statham's character goes to uh, Gator Bodine's meth lab, and he ends up he booby traps it basically. But the
Yes.
length of the sort of lengths that he goes to actually booby trap this thing. Like, he does some rewiring of a switch box,
Yeah.
and he does some drilling into light bulbs, and then injects the light bulbs with gasoline through the little hole that he drilled in. Um, it was completely over the top, and I loved it. I loved that scene. And all of this he's doing when anyone could come in at any time, and he chooses, like, I'm not just going to throw gasoline around and, like, blow it up myself. I'm going to leave this for later so that someone will flip this switch and the light bulbs will come on and blow up the gasoline that's been injected into them. It
Yes.
was quite an effort there to do all that work, but I appreciated it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. You're looking at a paint by numbers action film. It's not the greatest, but it's not bad. So
Yeah, it's also what these specific movies are made for. Like, it's just, I don't really feel like anyone made this movie they thought they were making the next, I don't know, Citizen Kane or something like that. Like
except
you
for
just
Kate
put out.
Bosworth, you're right.
That's true. Kate
She
Bosworth took it
thought she
very,
was.
very seriously. She was working hard for that Emmy. Um, but I
I
mean,
think she was working hard
there's
for an Oscar.
an Oscar.
An
Yes,
Emmy
sorry,
would be TV.
my bad.
Yeah,
Maybe it'll translate to an Emmy.
maybe.
So, yeah, I mean, but there's a place in this world for these type of movies, and that place is Netflix, for me to watch it.
That's right.
Yeah. So, um, how many uh I gotta say, a weird point of this movie was that almost everyone, well, certainly Jason Statham and his daughter, are kind of obsessed with hats. Like,
Mm.
the girl gets when she gets in a fight, it's over her hat, and then several points in the movie, his hat gets knocked off, and he goes back for it. But there's like no real reason why. So,
It's true. It's not
how many?
explained.
Yeah, how many trucker hats would you give this movie?
Um, I'm gonna
0 to 5.
0 to 5 trucker hats. I'm gonna go with 2.7 trucker hats out of 5. So slightly above average, but not much. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I'm in the similar area where I was, but because of Kate Bosworth, I'm gonna go to 3.
Okay.
3.0, because she really tried really hard. Like, and it definitely shows. Also, I mean, like, if I can watch a movie for an hour and 40 minutes and be entertained and caught up in the action, then that's a win to me. Like, at no point did I check my clock and was like, man, when's this going to be over? Like, I was pretty much there the whole time. So that's a win for me. I'm going 3.0.
Okay. That's fair. So that will put our average rating at 2.85 out of 5 trucker hats, which is decent.
Yeah.
And I think we would agree that if you like action movies, you could watch this one.
Yeah.
Um,
And also, there's not so, I mean, there's definitely some cursing and stuff. I was gonna say there's not so much in this movie. It's not so egregiously actiony and people aren't like getting blown up all the time or whatever. It's not like one of those action movies. So, you know, it's PG-13. So if you got a teenager who wants to watch an action movie, why not?
Right. I mean, there are several beatings that take place in this movie. A lot
That's
of
true.
hand-to-hand stuff, but yeah.
If you're uncomfortable with people getting beat up, then
hmm
maybe not
There
for
is
you.
some head trauma.
There's definitely head trauma, so Ed is out for this movie.
That's right. Well, before we wrap up, I will announce to you and to all of our listeners the next movie that we're going to be watching.
Hold on, I'm going to write this down.
Yes. Get ready.
So I don't have to pester you about it. All right, I'm ready.
Well, this movie is from 2010.
Oh.
And I'm gonna try something with you since it's an older movie, Todd. I'm gonna read you the description, and you see if you can guess the title from it.
All right, I like it.
I think it's gonna be hard. I'd never even heard of this movie, so.
Okay.
But here's the description. He believes his wife was wrongly convicted. Now he has one way to make things right, but he must risk everything.
The only reason I have a slight, I definitely don't know the name, but this movie, I must have been scrolling through the top 10 because this is hitting on the point of like the other night when I watched Homefront. I just was like, I wonder what's on the top 10, and I remember reading this. What's the who's in it? Give me an actor.
Brian Dennehy is in it, as well as Russell Crowe and Elizabeth Banks.
It definitely was this movie that I looked at. I can't remember what the title was, but it definitely was on the top 10 2 days ago or last night when I watched this movie.
Yes. Well,
What's
today it's number 1.
Whoa!
And it's called The Next 3 Days.
Ah, yes.
And for your visualization purposes, there is a mother who looks like she's in some kind of prison clothes, maybe, and a little boy or girl with long hair. It's a boy with longer hair, I think. So, anyway,
all right.
So that'll be the next one, the next 3 days.
I can definitely say I haven't seen this movie, so.
Well, me either.
Yeah.
So it'll be new and fresh for both of us. Wow.
True.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies. Thank you all listeners for listening. Thank you for reaching out on our social media presence on Facebook. If you ever do that, thank you for that. We did have a message from someone we didn't know today recommending a movie. So
yeah, I'm hold on. I'm gonna at least say his name so that
yes.
he feels special if he's listening. And I'm sorry if I butcher your name, but it's Nick Paticcio. It's Paticcio. So.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Paticcio.
Thank you for the suggestion. Matt and I will be mulling it over whether or not we're going to break protocol and just watch the movie that you're recommending. But we'll definitely consider it.
Yes,
and thanks for the suggestion.
Yes. So thank you, Nick, and all other listeners and suggesters.
Da 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 da
Da da
da da da.
da da da.